Hey everyone, I'm JANG, and this is the LEGO Star Wars Coruscant Gunship for 2023. This has 1,083 pieces, and I built it all live with the community over on my Twitch channel. I paid $140 US for this. The set comes with 5 minifigures. We'll look at those closer later on, but I'll put some of them into the ship for the sake of scale. There is no side build. This is smaller than the last play scale gunship we got a whopping 10 years ago. Still hard to believe it's been that long since the last one, but it's not tiny. It's actually pretty decently well scaled to the minifigs. And when you start looking at the space that's available on the inside to place stuff in there, it all starts to make sense and actually feels quite good. Speaking of feeling quite good, the build of this was fantastic. For what it is, really enjoyable. Lots of satisfying moments where different sub-assemblies came together. The way that the doors come together is not quite as tight as I would like, how everything fits, but it's not too bad. The wings went on just great. They just sat in there, just click, just perfect. The way that this goes in is simple, but it's nice. And, again, not a whole lot of gapping around there. It's super sturdy. There's a handle here that just slides out to allow you to easily just go and fly this thing around to your absolute heart's content. It is nice and sturdy in there. I'm not worried about this thing falling apart. It's really dense, and the Technic building for the core of this is, like I said, just absolutely solid. You can even grab this from back here, which is really surprising. I never would have expected to be able to do that, but it's just testament to the general strength of this. In fact, you can grab it from the wings. I don't super recommend this. You can start to get a little bit of plate separation if you do this a lot, but the fact is you can do this and it's not going to be falling apart. You just may loosen up after a while if you're really rough with it, at least in my experience of trying it out. Like you can see just right there, it starts to separate a little bit, but it's not coming apart. This actually is useful because you can fire off these turrets on the sides. You got 2 stud shooters on either side for that. And looking at this from the end on, you see that the bubble turrets, which I personally thought from the pictures were too low profile, actually aren't too bad. These are not supposed to be the manable ones. This is a special version of the gunship, so it's not supposed to have the iconic manable big bubble turrets on it, but they still are. To me, in the pictures, it looked like this was just too flat, and it's actually not. It's actually pretty good. This is a new piece on the underside here. I was surprised to see that. It's a 2x2 inverted tile that isn't rounded off at all. But generally, this thing is very swishable. It's very grabbable from most angles and in most ways without much concern. Worst case scenario, some things are going to loosen up a little bit, but they're not going to fall apart. The main canopies are easy to just open up like that and give you plenty of access to spots to put your figures in. The legs go a little bit underneath the console there, printed console for each position. There are studs under here, 2 studs in total. So if you push the figure down, it's actually going to get connected. Combined with the overlap of the console over the legs, can actually be doing one of those things again, where the helmet comes up first, then you just pick it up by the head. The one in the back I put in there without actually attaching it to the studs, and you don't need to attach it to the studs. It's just another option. Kind of makes it rattle a little bit less, but you can just kind of set it in there, and you don't have to worry about clearance inside of the canopy. There's plenty of room for that. These can be moved around the usual way, the traditional way. Large sticker here, the 4x4, tiny one there, the 1x1. There's the tail gunner position as well, or the tail gun rather, that can move around on its little Mixels ball joint. You get access to the main compartments by just pulling this right here. You also have the rear ramp that can come down and just do this, and it kind of does that. Just has a little shortcut slide for you. I wish this opened up more. I really wish, oh yeah, I think that's it. I really wish that opened up more to give you more access to that flat, generous cargo deck, because you can put a bunch of folks in there. A bunch will fit in there, but you don't have good finger access to these rear sections here. Now, figures can stand up. They can be facing towards the outside, or they can be facing towards the front or back or both. And of course, if you have them, whoops, just knocked that one out. If you have them facing front to back, then you're able to put more of them in here just because of the shape of the space. But there's plenty there. And there's also this here. It can be manually lifted up to give you even more access. Put cargo in there. You can also have a couple of figures sitting down on either side as well. So there's plenty of space in here. Technically, in universe, the doors should split and open front and rear. I don't think that that's necessary for this play scale and play based toy. I think that would have added even more complex mechanisms for both of them to work and to be secure. You would have ended up with even less access to the interior. If you want to get easy access into this space, you can either pull this off here or do this little trick, which is ridiculously easy, to just open that up. So if you had been able to get to these last few studs back here easily, it would have been perfect and would have really underscored just how much usable space that there is here, even though it's a smaller design. Here in the middle is Commander Fox, and on the left and right are a couple of his shock troopers, referred to as Coruscant Guard. For this set, if you are a LEGO fan who's been on the internet in the past 2 months, you've surely heard that this figure in the middle is one of the greatest travesties of our generation. It was maliciously designed specifically to cause direct mental, psychological, and physical harm to children worldwide because of the 2 to 3 millimeters of extra white underneath the upper chest crease, right in there. You see, these should be just inverted versus one another. So right there where you see the white below the red, yeah, there should be red below the white. I personally have my own issues with this, and I think the 2 to 3 millimeters of white there is the least of the problems with this figure. First of all, the Coruscant Guard figures, they're okay. They're not bad. Yeah, I'm fine with them. I don't even notice the holes when I'm not looking at them in 4K, 10 times zoomed in, and I do appreciate the ability to put like accessories onto their helmets if I want to make them a little bit more customized. They have the same heads between them because they're clones, and they should. But what I dislike most about this Commander Fox figure is that the white print there, including not only the 2 to 3 millimeters of extra, but the main white print throughout all of the torso, is just terrible. It's like see-through. It's pink. It's not white. And it's really noticeable. It feels cheap. And I'm not trying to exaggerate. I'm not trying to pile on to Lego. I really genuinely don't like that. As a Lego fan, as a Star Wars fan, as a fan of, toys and collectibles and things, that just makes me unhappy. It's just not right. The legs are pretty good. The helmet is fine to me. I like getting these weapons again. The graphic design work is nice. Yeah, overall, most of what's here, I'm at least fine with. Again, he's cloned, so same head underneath is appropriate. But also, this one is missing any sort of cloth comma. The cloth kind of skirt-like piece, which they give you just a little hint of in the print here on the front, but not even on the side. And it doesn't feel good because this character in particular in universe really it stands out visually because of that cloth piece. That's one of the things that's really important. So that's definitely a miss. Here we have Palpatine and Padme. I don't think, have we gotten this exact version of Padme before in a non-Clone Wars cursed face version? I don't remember. I'm not a super Clone Wars fan. I definitely didn't collect all the Clone Wars Lego sets, but this feels newish to me. The head is reused, yes, but I think it's actually pretty appropriate. I think that I can easily see that as Padme. Then over here, I have an alternate face for the Senate. Good printing all the way down the back here. This is actually good to see, and that's well implemented as well with really fine detailing. If you look when there's a little bit of glare, you can see it's really high resolution. It's subtle, but when you see it, It's quite good. Of course, that's rather cursed, but just generally, I'm happy with both of these figures as they are. These are the leftover and extra pieces, and the sticker sheet for this set was, to me, delightfully small and simple, just 5 items in total. Again, the price was $140 US for 1,083 pieces. It is 150 euros, 130 pounds UK, 180 Canadian dollars, about less than $135 US equivalent there. The thing is good. The build is good. The figures are good except for this Commander Fox, which honestly, do criticize even little things. Don't go ridiculous with, talking about the tiniest thing like it has actually caused physical harm to children the world over. We don't need to go that far. But honestly, this is kind of a throwaway figure, in my opinion, as far as quality is concerned, for a top level manufacturer that prides itself on being the best, hands down. It feels like a prototype, like an early production prototype, not even a production prototype, but a late design, middle design prototype. It just, the print quality is so bad, and the lack of a comma or even an attempt to put it in, a lot is really missing with that. I feel like this one is missing enough that it's difficult for a serious Star Wars fan of any age to even use it as a nice stand-in for just an unnamed character, unnamed, ranked officer sort of character. It just has too many issues if you care about the details. The rest, though, are good. Again, the design of this is good, which brings me back to the price of $140. Do I feel like I have $140 worth of stuff here? I do not. Even by today's standards, with things being as expensive as they are, being reasonable, Star Wars tax, Disney tax, Lego tax, all that, right? Consider all of that. I don't want this to be more than 120. And even that, like I have to dig to say those numbers. But I'll allow it. 120. Please give me like 2 more just generic trooper figures as well for 120. I was going to say you toss in a couple battle droids or something, no. Give me, or Mandos, I don't know. Give me more troopers. This is the first one of these things we've had in a decade. It should have troopers to go in it. It's a trooper carrier. It should have more troopers to go in it. So I would give it 130. Geez, that hurts. I don't like the thought of that price, 130. If they included 2 more figures, and if Commander Fox was much better than it is, or even was just not the named character, but was just a better figure than it is. That's about where I'm at with it. So happy with this. It's interesting how light it feels for how sturdy it is and how much confidence I have in it, knowing how it's built, having really handled it quite a bit. There's good building, satisfying, not too difficult for younger folks to put together. So all in all, mostly a win here. Definitely feels too expensive. Definitely a loss right there, in my opinion. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.